Deltatre, we provide very generally media services to the broadcast industry and sports federations. I guess what does that actually mean? Very broadly, if you're watching sport at home in your armchair, or if you're in the stadium, or consuming sport on mobile devices or your laptops, we're in the industry of making and enhancing that experience. So whether that's bringing data in the form of a television graphic to the screen to tell you how far, to tell you that the Chelsea right backs run a lot further than the Real Madrid left back, or watching a sport on your laptop and choosing the camera angle that you want to see that goal from. It's all about trying to make that sports experience more engaging for the consumer. Very broadly, we're divided into three main areas, which we call online, on stage and backstage. Our online area of the business is websites and mobile apps. So we develop, create content for and to put onto to those platforms. Our on-stage part of the business is TV graphics and results. So we'll be at the venue collecting the results, collecting the amount of corners, or in rugby the number of tackles, or in cricket and golf, and develop and pushing out television graphics around the world. And lastly, backstage, which is broadly our content pillar. So creating content, whether that be editorial journalists sitting down writing, or video journalists creating content and producing that content and putting it out on all the other platforms that we provide. It also has a massive piece about how you aggregate and distribute that content using some of the technology platforms that we've developed. So I'm head of Deltatre UK, which is one of 5 global units. My responsibilities are for the profit and loss of the unit, the vision, the energy, the strategic direction, and obviously with a tremendous team behind me. When I joined Deltatre when we were less than 10. And have played quite a role in developing to what it is now, about to hit a very significant milestone in the company of going beyond 100 people in the UK. Globally, we're around 450, 500 people. So the company has grown unbelievably since I've been involved, and it's been a tremendous journey for me. In terms of advising people coming into the sports industry, I think you have to realise that sports events happen at the weekend or in the evenings. So it's never, whatever job you're going to be a 9 to 5 office jobs. Anything around sport is based around a sports event, which, as I said, either happens at those unsociable working hours, or in massive events which take a huge build up. And are immovable and have no movable deadlines. So setting that realism of being involved in sport, you have to go into it with your eyes open, knowing that there's a hell of a commitment that you need to do. I guess also the industry of sport, and I'm sure on global sports jobs there are a plethora of jobs that are around there, is very wide and varied. I think it's massively important that you choose something that really resonates with you, that you really want to get involved in. Having sport being involved in is good, but I think also choosing an area of business that is really important and is really important for you as an individual is the way to go. I think when I was coming out of my rugby career, I had a number of options. I knew I wanted to stay within sport, but I needed to kind of match what was really interesting for me. And at university, I'd done a maths and a technology degree, and I really wanted, and the analysis of sport was very important to me. And luckily, I found a brilliant career at Deltatre in quite an early time with the company, and have been with them since we've grown. Yeah, there's lots of transferable skills from professional sport and particularly rugby. Rugby's a pretty unique game in which you need short blokes, tall blokes, fat blokes, fast blokes, and ditto for the women's game. And it's all about each person in that team knowing their responsibility and how they gel with other people that will do other very special things in that team. So bringing that into the business world is tremendously transferable, and I think I learned quite a lot in that respect as a professional rugby player. I also think that professional sport, you have to deal with great successes and you have to deal with great failures. You know, in most people's jobs, when you have a bad day at the office, you don't instantly get the reactions of 10,000 plus people saying that you've done something brilliantly or something badly. And then dealing with injuries, dealing with not getting selected is just part and parcel of being a professional sportsman. And is something that, you know, is difficult when you're a young guy coming up through there that you have to deal with. And I think that was quite forming for me. There's also, I mean, you know, there's a whole host of other transferable things that go into business. And at Deltatre we have some very firm cultural values that we promote, and all the staff will know in being commitment, integrity, aspirational, and being very open and honest. And I think those cultural values are very close to what you kind of need to succeed in professional sport. Having tremendous commitment is important because it's a very challenging world, and you know, you're always on the edge of being something amazing or going down the route of dealing with failure. So being tremendously committed and having a lot of integrity and honesty and working with that team are all values that I've had a part in playing in instilling in Deltatre, and were all things that were incredibly important when I was playing professional rugby. I could speak about leadership for a long time. I was quite fortunate when I was playing rugby that I played under some really inspirational captains and coaches. I think I played with three captains that went on to captain their countries or were captain their countries at the time, and a couple of coaches that were also past captains of their country. And being with them and hearing their kind of motivations and how they got teams up, and you know, being in a rugby change room with the captain of England banging you in the middle of the chest, telling you what you needed to do was really inspirational. And you know, as I say it, I'm kind of getting goosebumps down me, kind of remembering those thoughts. Now, you know, transferring that to the business world, we're not David Brents here, and you know, we don't all get together, but those aspects of being motivational, I think are really important in leadership in business. I think a clarity in the communication, being able to boil down the direction that you want the company to go into a very simple phrase, which then teams can then go out and expand on and interpret that message, is really important. And I think it's about employing the best people, and I think at Deltatre we've got something pretty special, and a real great team spirit. You know, there's a phrase that B players hire C players and A players hire A star players, and I think the talent pool at Deltatre is continuing to grow, and with everything that we want to do in the future, I think the future is pretty positive.
Sounds like.
So the broadcast world is going through and has been going through an unbelievable change. I think it's incredibly exciting that Deltatre are right in the middle of that. And that change is going from the traditional broadcast delivery to IP and delivering streaming and sports content and events over IP. Where that will go to and how quickly that will keep going very much depends on kind of infrastructures and technology developments. But I feel Deltatre are right at the heart of that. We're already pushing the boundaries of how that is changing sports consumption. It's also changing the commercial world. I think there are smaller federations that are now considering becoming their own broadcasters and getting that content out direct to their fans. And obviously the broadcasters are kind of reacting to that and figuring out how they play a part in this new world. And you know that's a massive change. You know, the devices that we use to consume that is changing all the time, and how people are interacting and engaging with that. At the moment, I'm involved in discussing with Xbox how we sit back on our armchair and use gesture control or voice control to control what we're watching, whether we want to bring back a picture-in-picture video of something on there, or whether we're becoming an umpire and giving a player out in a cricket match as a side portion of the screen. All of this stuff is incredibly exciting. And if I go back to my first answer about what Deltatre do, it's all about how we can make that sports consumption more engaging and more exciting, which is really exciting for Deltatre.
Again, we sort of touched on a bit of this already. Can you tell us about some of the recent successes Deltatre have had and the plans for the future?
We've had a hell of a year this year. Almost all of our metrics are up from last year. I think it's kind of been a record-breaking year in terms of what we've been involved with. Going back to the start of the year, we had a massive project with the Winter Olympics in Sochi, which we delivered results and broadcast solutions and digital solutions for a lot of the world's leading Olympics broadcasters. Moving on to the Paralympics in the UK, we delivered Channel 4's digital platforms for them and provided all of the editorial, which was a great success, which we were really happy with how it came. The world of sport never stops. So coming off the back of the Paralympics, we had coverage of the IPL with our broadcast client in India, Star Sports. Which broke a lot of records for them, and being in India, most things from a scale perspective is just that much bigger. So it was an incredible experience to be a part of. And then straight into the World Cup. So for Brazil, we had as a worldwide group, we had over 120 people over in Brazil, collecting the results, doing the whole host of Deltatre services, so collecting the results, pumping out TV graphics around the world, and providing a whole load of digital solutions for many of the world's broadcasters. Didn't wait for long before the Commonwealth started. Off the back of the Commonwealth, we were then into the start of the football season. So it's been an incredible year, and we've done some really good things that we're really proud of as a company.
Sounds brilliant.
I've had quite a few role models. When I was playing rugby, I had a very influential. It was a chief executive of the club who prepared me really for life after sport. That, along with the players' union, the RPA, who do a fantastic job in preparing sportsmen, rugby players through their rugby careers, in pointing out that as a rugby player you're probably going to be washed up by the age of 30, as I was. So all of those influences have been great to me. In terms of business, the founder of Deltatre UK, Paul Bristow, has been very influential to me, and has kind of shown me the way that Deltatre operates, and the way that we should run the business.